is up, everybody? Welcome to Sixers Postgame Live. Sixers get the L in a hard-fought L, 125-119 in this one to the Boston Celtics. Talking top reaction, takeaways, player of the game, and more. Joining me, he is Sean_Bernard1 on Twitter. What's up, Sean?
Yeah, I had low expectations heading into this game, and that was one of the most fun I've had all year watching a game. This team is full of dogs. They competed start to finish. Pat Bev, have yourself a night, 26 points. So, yeah, for the most part, sucks to lose. Still some negatives. I know we're going to get into the Tobias Harris storyline, but I'm pretty happy with tonight overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Moral victory. Also joining us, my man Pat from Ambler on Twitter. What's going on, Pat?
What's going on, gentlemen? I kind of chalked this to being L with being without, Embiid and Maxey. And here I haven't had this much fun, to be honest with you, since the tournament with this squad. So for them to come out and the bench give it a dogfight, if you will, that's what mostly impressed me. I thought for sure this was going to be, the Patrick Beverleys of the world coming out hot. Who would have thought, the way he shot from the perimeter, the way he was just, from the field, the way he was just driving the ball to the basket, just, fill in the blanks for Maxey, just the way, his game kind of adapted to his. I thought it was really, really special. And I was like, okay, wow, we got something going on here. So, like I said, this game totally threw me off.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this game heading into this one. You're missing 80 points from Embiid, Maxey, Oubre, and Batum. Moral victory, man. I thought you're starting to see the Sixers learn how to play without Embiid, learn how to play without Maxey, which is a huge area for this team. Not perhaps the worst loss. On to the next one, but. We got to lead this off with some comments here. Steven says this may be the worst officiated game I've seen in the last 3 years. It was bad, man. We're not gonna go there until later. Mitch says Tobias Harris needs to go. I promise you, Mitch, we're gonna get into some Tobias Harris because I am fed up. I'm gonna need Sean to rein me in because Tobias Harris looked like the worst player on the court tonight. And when you're missing Maxey and Embiid and all these guys, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable performance from Tobias, and we'll get into it soon. Barry says Sixers gave a great run without Embiid. Yeah, Melton and Beverly were fantastic. Maybe we don't need another ball handler. Barry says Mo Bamba showed me something. We're going to be talking about Mo Bamba, absolutely. But let's get into Pat Bev, who was absolutely sensational in this one, who's kind of been a guy that's a little bit been up and down, but really over the last several games has been really playing well. 10 of 15 from the floor, 26 points, 7 assists, 8 boards. There were just so many moments in this game where he stepped up, hit pull-up jumpers, attacked the paint relentlessly. Here's his shot chart. So much green, Sean. What did we see from Pat Bev?
Yeah, I wasn't sure he still had this kind of juice in the tank. And I honestly think throughout his entire career, that's probably the best game of basketball I've ever seen Pat Bev have. From the offensive side of the ball, of him commanding the offense, him calling pick and rolls, him calling plays, running the whole show, the step back threes, him calling specific switches to get moments like Luke Cornett on him, and then going to the step back. He felt so in control. That floater is complete money, and he's going to get that shot whenever he wants it. That's something that we've seen throughout past games, but that's very clearly like a shot in his arsenal that he relies heavily on, and that's a weapon for his offensive game. He playmaked well. He rebounded well. It's on triple-double watch with 8 and 7 with the assists and rebounds there. I was blown away with what Pat Bev did. The Sixers would not be remotely in that game without him. He was really like a stabilizing influence on this game. Like, felt comfortable with the ball in his hands, still did his things defensively, picked up a couple steals. So for me, that was the biggest story of this game was Pat Bev. Could not be more impressed with how he played and really was not confident that he even had that in his bag at this point in his career.
I wasn't prepared to see him look so good on ball. There were times when he was like splitting defenders and the floater was just wet tonight. Like he just looked really confident at attacking the paint, setting up his teammates. Again, finished 3 of 5 from 3-point range. Pat, what'd you think of Pat Bev?
Again, he was sensational. The way he was just driving the ball to the rim. Again, the flow he had with B-ball Paul, right? The fill in the blank for Embiid. Just the chemistry was all there. I mean, to get those pick and rolls and all those things. He was aggressive tonight in the paint. He was fighting for rebounds, getting all those balls. He was sharp tonight. Again, the player of the game. I mean, you got to tip your cap for what he gave you, and especially when they removed Jason Tatum from the floor. He really, again, this is where he started lighting the floor up, and it's just a shame they just came up small. But again, this is your typical Sixers Celtics fashion dogfight. If you want to go down that avenue, I was really, really thrilled with what I saw. And like I said, this was his time to shine. For an older player, for being, I don't want to say a leader of this team, but being one of those veteran guys who show that he still has something left in the tank, and he's going to give this team all. Yeah, I'm proud of this guy.
Pat Bev's one of those guys where, like, I wish we had him in last year's playoffs.
I wish we had him his whole career, man. Like, he's tailor-made for Philly. He truly is. He gets it from start to finish. And yeah, like, his like energy and effort level that he brings is infectious. Like, it rubs off on this entire team. I really don't think that it would have been a game without him tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He was just everywhere. What else did he have? Real quick. Pat Bev had 2 steals, 8 rebounds, 2 offensive. Man, he was just everything. He definitely earning more minutes as we move forward. Next up, we're going to talk about DeAnthony Melton. But before then, let's get some comments. I am tired of Tobias, man. I'm so tired of him, man. I'm right there with you. I'm going to hold back tonight as much as I can, try not to overreact. But he is cooked. He is absolutely cooked. And I'm just tired of the same old thing, man. And I know is an expiring contract. We'll get into it.
Goose Fraba dives. Goose Fraba.
Boosa. Nick
On
says,
your pillow.
despite the L, still proud of B-Ball Paul, who was awesome tonight as well. His offensive game looked on point today. Shooting over Al Horford many different times tonight, man. Like, I didn't know he had some of those shots in his bag with the baby hook and the turnaround jumper and the different things tonight from B-Ball Paul. A lot of different things. Nick says, wish we would have seen B-Ball Paul and Mo Bamba on the floor together to end the game. We're going to get into all this. We have a Knicks fan in the house. No, we're not going to talk about the Knicks.
Come on, beat it.
What's going on, Ryan? Thanks for joining. Our guards, Maxey Melton, might only be 6'2", but man, can they leap. And Nick says, Nick Nurse has got to find a way to get both B-Ball Paul and Mo minutes every single night. Mo Bamba earned minutes tonight. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but we got to talk about DeAnthony Melton in this one, who was pretty good. 4 of 12 from 3, but I don't think that speaks to how many times he had some big shots in this game. Yeah. He finished with 21 points. He did foul out, but he had a steal, a block, 4 boards. I'll throw it to you, Pat. Like, DeAnthony Melton is a guy that I've kind of criticized quite heavily on this post-game show, especially when it comes to, like, fourth quarters and the ball in his hands, and less on-ball Melton, the better. But I thought there were times in this game where he looked pretty good. What were your thoughts?
Same. And again, going based off this game, as I saw most of these guys, what they did, he's not exactly in the paint fighting for buckets or trying to get rebounds. He was scrapping in the paint for rebounds. He was going against the teams in the world and, guys who he has no business, a complete mismatch, but yet here he is scrapping. I mean, you saw the one play where he came down on his kneecap and he shook it off, and he was still running the floor. So again, I saw things out of him tonight. I'm like, okay, this ain't your normal play. You're just, a perimeter shooter. And, his perimeter shooting has gone up a little bit. But, again, what I saw out of him is him just, fighting for his, minutes in the paint. He was getting rebounds. He was dishing it out. He was trying to dish out to the guys on perimeter, all those things. But, yeah, he really fought for his minutes, and he really fought for getting his rebounds.
This was like my initial take. Like, the second we learned that Embiid was out, okay,
Yeah.
maybe they still have a chance because there's no Porzingis. But then when we learned that Maxey was out, I was like, oh my God, more Melton point guard in this one. I was like, oh, here we go. But it wasn't that bad. Like he didn't really do that well in the second half. But Sean, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll start by saying with Melton that sixth foul was garbage on him, that he should not have fouled out on that. There was nothing there. There's a string of calls we can point to, but it was disappointing to see him get kicked out of the game just for that. Something that I just don't think was a foul. As far as this game on the night, very good. The thing that I'll speak to about the Anthony Melton that's impressed me most recently is he's not afraid of the moment, that there's not going to be a shot or an opportunity that he kind of feels too small for, that he does rise up and takes the opportunities, which I've been pretty critical of Melton. There's still issues around the rim, the finishing, things like that. But the 3-point shots, it felt much better than the 4 of 12 that he did shoot. It felt like he was automatic, especially at the start of this game. Thought he did some nice things as far as penetrating and creating in a way that he doesn't always. Defensively, made a strong impact as well. So very happy with what he did. Disappointed on the way that he went out. And I will say there might be something to the combination of the brick D'Anthony Melton layups to a Mo Bamba dunk on the reverse. There were a couple of those that worked out. So maybe there's something to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was impressed by Melton's ability to like finish on contested shots. Like that's a guy that has really struggled in that area in this one. But we saw that chase down block he had. I forget who it was on, but that was really nice. So yeah, let's get into Robert Covington. Let's do Robert Covington here.
Oh yeah.
Who was sensational. I've been raving about this dude. I'm biased. I'm a trust the process guy. I've been a Rocco guy forever. But like the little things that Rocco does for this team has been through the roof. In this game tonight, 18 points, 5 steals. Dude, he had 4 steals in the first like 5 minutes of this game. He was everywhere. He had a block. He was 3 of 6 from 3. He was setting up teammates cutting to the basket like KJ. I thought Rocco just continued to cement the fact that he needs more playing time on this team. Sean, thoughts on Rocco?
Yeah, it's so cool, the archetype of Robert Covington, of obviously getting his start with the Sixers, putting himself on the map in a Sixers jersey. Then I don't understand how he even fell out of the rotation in Los Angeles. He obviously had the stop in Houston and, had a little bit of a farther path than that. But I don't understand how he fell out of the rotation in Los Angeles. It's cool that he seemed to come in with a chip on his shoulder, and he's absolutely playing like it. The 4 steals in those first 8 minutes in the game is insane. His hands were everywhere defensively. Wow. He's super willing as a shooter. The 3-point looks, the Sixers needed him, and he takes them in big moments in a way that is not everybody has, that we've seen for years. Guys on this team kind of pass up those semi-open 3-point looks. Those are ones that Covington is taking 10 times out of 10, and that's important to a team. And then there were other plays that, like, you can see he can step out of that comfort zone. There was one play tonight where he had a little crossover and then a drive and dish to where he set up, I think it was KJ Martin on the play, actually. But yeah, those are just good basketball plays that he's capable of doing. He's the real deal. He deserves to be like a high-level rotation player on this team. And he just brings an energy. He's another one of those guys that's similar to the Pat Bev, that the way he's everywhere on the floor, the way that his hands that change the defensive outlook, it's huge for this team. And I love Rocco, man. I'm happy he's home, and he's going to play a real role on this team.
There was a huge moment in this game where Peyton Pritchard hit a massive 3-pointer. The Boston Celtics crowd, this is in the 4th quarter, and the crowd is finally getting involved. And Rocco, on the next possession, hits a huge 3-pointer, man. It was a great moment. Pat, quick thoughts on Rocco before we get into Mo Bamba.
Rocco, his defense game, we all, guys like me who made the joke, Ro must go, but no. For real, Rocco is one of those guys who can only really, really play well in Philadelphia. He's one of those cats. And when he puts on that Sixers uniform, it means the world to this guy. And it's written all over his sleeves. So when like I said, you see his defense game, especially when it's in double coverage, he makes it very, very uncomfortable for players who trying to come up with a play, trying to, explore, trying to find that open man on the floor. He's got his hands in your face 24/7. So it makes it very, very uncomfortable for those guys to play for the opposite team to come up with some kind of play. So He does a phenomenal job there. And then on top of that, him playing lights out from the perimeter, him being 8 points again. Again, he's kind of wearing this team on his back. Just coming off the bench, he was really, really solid. So I gotta give credit to him. Rocco just having 18 points on him. He's a happy-going guy. He's happy to be here. I agree with Sean. He wants to be here for a long time coming.
Nick says Pat Bev definitely making the calendar for next game.
By the way, quick point on that is Pat Bev walking off the court went to shake Missoula's hand and Missoula walked away. So yeah, that'll
what?
Yeah, Missoula's a little punk.
What? Yeah. Oh man, I did not see that. Oh my god. Barry says B-ball Paul has some skills, but has been stifled by Doc. He's got some handles, man. He took Horford off the dribble a couple of times. I saw him do a crossover, a spin dribble. There's upside for sure. No doubt about it, Barry. Prince says, I know a lot of people are high on KJ, but I've seen enough of him. Yeah, there was a couple of transition opportunities, I think, that didn't exactly go well. And that's an area that I thought he would thrive in. Tobias disaster class.
Oh, man.
To say that Melton is a better contact finisher than Maxey.
Yes.
Yes. I will say Melton is a better contact finisher than Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Maxey's on another level finishing. Like among the NBA's elite. Like I think it's he's in like the Kyrie Irving tier of finishing around the rim at this point in my mind.
That moment where Tobias Harris gets a transition opportunity, gets blocked at the rim.
You knew it was happening.
Has the mindset of let me put the ball on the floor and try to dunk it again, and gets his ass handed to him again at the rim. That was one of the worst looks, man. That was a horrible play. We're gonna get to Tobias soon. I'm gonna have to get something off my chest. Ryan says Rocco looked very good, but why did Rocco shoot the ball? I mean, did we not see that coming, Ryan? Like, this team does not have shot creators, and that was a very predictable finish for the Sixers.
And I agree, like that's probably a forced shot for sure, but it's also one of those like what better option do we have at this point? And like it was at the point in the game where we're see so many guys like overplaying what their expectations or role are that to me like you just got to kind of take that one. Didn't fall in a real game. I'll be much more upset about that than I am tonight.
Right on. Barry says Rocco was terrific, although they lost. Absolutely. Sharon says, I see the Sixers still need help now. We need more good shooters. We need more strength. Ryan says it was too much of a contested Rocco shot in crunch time. It is what it is, man. They don't really have that many options when you're missing your – I mean, we've been over this many times. Rudy Poo says, I hate the sheer presence of Tobias Harris.
I think the people want to see Dives push that Tobias Harris button like ASAP because he's ready to explode.
Yeah, let it rip.
No, I'm going to stay rational. I'm not going to overreact. I'm not.
Friday, let it out.
Sharon says, we want the best out there. We need a good backup center, power, and 2 more good shooters. Sean, you look like a soccer. I don't know why. Soccer player. That's come up before. Ryan, were you the one who brought that up before?
I don't know. I was a soccer player, so nailed it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Mo Bamba in this one. Mo Bamba finished the game here. 11 points, 6 boards. But the big one by far was 2 of 4 from 3. Heading into this one, this is a guy that really struggled to get on the court. But if Mo Bamba's giving you some floor spacing, I think that's the big takeaway. I'll take it. Everywhere else, he's been pretty much garbage. Sean, any thoughts on Mo Bamba?
Yeah, there's no reason why Mo Bamba is not a functional backup center. Like he's 7 feet tall.
He looks like he should be.
Yeah, like he's real deal 7 feet tall. He can block shots. He can rebound. The stretching the floor is like a real asset. But like he's actually like a legitimately good shooter. He's not like a big man that can kind of shoot. He is a good shooter, and that does matter in the context of things. That brings up a pick and pop option as far as the offensive sets. Doesn't seem like much of a roller or have much touch around the rim whatsoever. So it seems like the preference is the pick and pop. I don't love the sets where he's set up in the wing as at the 3-point line. I don't love that. But I do like the way that he cleaned up a couple of D'Anthony Melton's misses today. That's something that I think can stick, and not just Melton. I mean, just missed shots around the rim. The way with his frame and his long arms, those are just clean putbacks that he can knock in, and very few people are going to be able to get to the level that he can get to. So if he can just keep the game simple, do the basics of screen, roll, screen and pop, block shots, put in boards, the game is that simple. You can make a ton of money and you can carve out a really nice role in the NBA if he just sticks to those things. I get the motor. I can still see it at times. His foot speed's not good. He doesn't move great, but there's so much the floor of his game. If you can just do the basics, he can be a very effective basketball player. So he definitely showed something tonight. The jump shot can change things, and especially when we bring in these wacky lineups that we want to talk about with Paul Reed or with Embiid or things like that. If he can keep shooting at a high rate, we can start to talk about things like that. Tonight was a huge step for Mo Bamba for just showing that he deserves to be on an NBA floor, which I think some of us had our doubts about.
Yeah, and if he can space the floor and finish at the rim, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All for it. And there it is. There's a shot chart, 2 of 3 at the rim, 2 of 4 from three-point range. Pat, does Mo Bamba deserve more playing time?
Absolutely. He showed you not just this game, but was the game before the game against the Lakers. He looked okay. I mean, for the little stamp size that you got for him coming off the bench, absolutely. And again, tonight, back-to-back 3-point shots. I'm like, okay, we might be working with something here. Him getting rebounds, him, creating havoc in the paint. Yeah, this is something you don't want to turn your head at. So yeah, he deserves a little bit more playing time. Just get him involved a little bit more. Especially in nights like this, you don't have your MVP in your lineup. I was trying to split a little bit more of the time between him and B-Ball Paul. B-Ball Paul has something going on with the starting guys. Let him get in. With the Rocos, and if you want to throw in there the Mark Morrises and the Cork Mazes of the world, let him start working some practicing skills with those guys, and let them try and work out some team chemistry. So when they get in there, you're not missing a beat on anything.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the one thing I hope we see more from Nick Nurse. Let's get as much data as possible with these lineups as we get ready for the playoffs. Nick says, I never doubted Mo. Always great in Orlando. Was solid with the Lakers last year. Never understood why Nurse wasn't playing him. Barry says Nick Nurse should be able to work with Bamba. Absolutely. And Ryan says absolutely deserves more playing time. And here's the part of the show where this was a very good loss, if you want to call it. I was very impressed by the Sixers effort.
Yeah.
The hustle, the energy, top to bottom, it was great. If you were to tell me that Tobias Harris was also sick in this one, the Sixers probably win this game. Because we're going to get into Tobias Harris, who was straight up dog shit. 14 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. He did have 4 steals somehow. But in so many moments, came up short, just like we have seen again and again and again with Tobias Harris. But that play where he got blocked at the rim twice in transition was an absolute joke. You can always count on Tobias putting up some weak ass shit around the rim, and that always gives other teams momentum, man. It was a horrible play. We've been talking on this show and my podcast about possibly benching Tobias Harris and moving Kelly Oubre to the starting lineup down the road, different things like that. But Sean, it always feels like it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back with Tobias Harris. He doesn't have a higher gear. He's consistently mid. He has just a ton of bad when it counts. He kills your momentum all the time, play after play. The defense goes good to bad. Most of the time, the offense is bad, especially when it matters. And he doesn't really fight for boards. How many 3-point attempts did he have in this one? Tobias Harris, without Maxey, without Embiid, without Batum, had 1 3-point attempt in this one. That's unacceptable, man. Paul Reed also had 1 3-point attempt in this one. For a guy that's getting paid like a max player, I know it's not fair because he's not a max player. We've said it 1,000 times on this show. but it's not good enough. And I don't know what they do with him. He's probably worth more to the Sixers. Just let him walk as an expiring. I don't know what to do with this guy, man. It was a pathetic, embarrassing performance from Tobias, Sean.
Yeah, 0 points in the second half, which is just straight up insane on a night like tonight. And two like huge momentum shifting, just horrible moments for him. Number one, the double block by Al Horford, which was just painful there. And number two, that like carry or traveled or whatever it called when he just got caught in between two things. That just can never happen. And on a night like tonight, and I'm going to throw a Kyle Neubeck quote in here that says, when you have a team loaded with stars and they need him to step up into a secondary role, Tobias Harris is going to get you 16 points. When you have a shorthanded group and need him to have a bigger share of the offense, Tobias Harris is going to get you 16 points. That's who he is, and that is not acceptable. He's the highest paid player in NBA history to never make an all-star game. That is Tobias Harris, and he does get a bad rap. I know he's been through the ringer as far as his role shifting, what expectations are, but on a night like tonight, it's very frustrating that we have to sit here and on a team with no Joel Embiid, no Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris wasn't one of the 5 best Sixers tonight. And to be that guy is insane that we're still doing this song and dance. And as we talk about these trade packages and what this team's missing, I really think that guys like Nicholas Batum and Robert Covington are far more vital to this Sixers team than Tobias Harris. And that's a concern all around because I don't know if that works in the value or how things shift. But what my frustration with Tobias specifically has always been is there's no defining basketball trait to keep him on the floor. When you look at each of these guys, there has to be that one thing that's the reason that you're playing. Tobias Harris doesn't have that. He's an okay finisher. He's an okay scorer. He's an okay rebounder. He can kind of play make. He can kind of defend, but there's nothing that is you need him on the floor for this. And that's a concern for a guy who has as big of a role as he does. So yeah, tonight was a big time frustrating game for Tobias. I think that second half is up there among the worst I've ever seen him play.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I am so out on Tobias Harris that like pretty much like James Harden, it's going to be addition by subtraction. Oubre, Rocco, Batum, all those guys give you something that I think is enough to replace Tobias Harris in that rotation. Mm-hmm. And that's just where I'm at. And I don't know what Daryl Morey does with that contract. It's going to be hard to get value with that. Again, it's probably worth more for the Sixers just to let it go and retool in the offseason. But, Pat, any thoughts on Tobias?
Oh, absolutely. Hold on. 23 minutes in this show. Dive snaps out on Tires, please would take that part of the show out. Yeah, I'm going to have to say that for the big blood pressure roll. No. Listen, he was like the complete opposite of the Eagles. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he did okay in the first half. Like, he found Paul Reed on that one open play. I'm like, okay. He looked like he was getting a little bit aggressive in the first half. I'm like, okay, maybe he looked like he wants to run the floor a little bit. I'm like, okay, Tobias, you want to take control of this bad boy. Okay, you want to make a name for yourself. And then that second half, I'm like,
nothing.
Just pop on the back of a milk cart? Like, where'd he go? Like, where? I mean, he was completely invisible. Like, nothing. Like, I got nothing from this guy. I mean, then it's great. Like you highlighted the Paul Reeds, you highlighted Rocco's, but there was nothing else after that. Like, there was no part. Like, he couldn't finish. He couldn't finish the story, and it sucks because like we're sitting here going back to square one. We're going back to the record player of this guy. Is what he is. He's just okay. As the guy, Big James, who sits in the sidelines with the nice colorful wing, as he said before in my podcast, to buy ass. And I try to that guy, but it is what it is. So yeah, I can't defend this guy. I try to do it in my pod, but no, I mean it's a shame. I want to believe in this guy because the Sixers believe in him. And you can't, and you have to try to move on from them. They've tried it millions of times. They just don't have. It seems like they don't have an answer to how to get rid of them.
Where's those crumble cookies at?
It just makes too much money, man. He's such a bad fit, and it's defeating. It's defeating, and like this team, 99% of this team gave you 120% tonight, and like. Tobias Harris was the one person that probably lost him this game. Like, he was that bad.
This is the game where he should have took over. You had for you. You have a washed up Al Horford who looks completely cooked in the paint. This was a layup. This was a gift given to you, and you're getting all the support in the world from your bench players. This says a dub for you. This is going to make you stand out like a sore thumb. This is going to be your night. Well, the first half, yeah, I'll kind of fight for you, but yeah, like I said, you popped on the back of that milk carton.
And seriously, like when you go down like the options as far as the wing spots for the Sixers team, like Kelly Oubre has an ability to self-create and score in a way where Tobias just doesn't. Nicholas Batum, a far better playmaker, a much quicker release, and a much quicker decision maker and more willing shooter than Tobias. Covington, far better defender and a more willing shooter than Tobias. Those are all three guys that have skills that are more valuable to this Sixers team than Tobias does. And like that's so frustrating. And defensively, like that, I think we've hoped has been the role that he could carve out, that he could be like a guy that can at least hold his own against like a Tatum and stuff like that. But when you have like a D'Anthony Melton and a Robert Covington who are better options for that as well, I just struggle to find where in this puzzle is he a key piece of, because it really doesn't feel like it exists at this point. And it sucks.
And that's why like possibly putting him on the second unit where he can be a more shot creator maybe is a better fit, but we got to move on, man. I'm just so ready to move on. The result is always going to be the same with Embiid and Maxey. Boston was not prepared for this lineup. Rudy Poo says, did you guys see Nick Nurse rip Tobias during the last time out? I did not. Did anybody else see that?
No, I didn't really notice that either. I'm going to have to look that back.
Anthony says, let's trade Tobias for Ben Simmons. They both suck.
At least Ben Simmons doesn't play. At least Ben Simmons doesn't play.
Pat Beverly was balling. I tried a crumble cookie for the first time after class the other day. Not bad. I'm sure if I trade Tobias for one, though. Mr. Rudy Boo says, Tobias did a fadeaway against 6'2" Pritchard. Enough said. I feel like, in general, the Sixers did a really good job of attacking mismatches on offense throughout the game, except for Tobias. Sharon says Sixers were bouncing the ball too much. And Anthony says the refs were trash. They were so bad, man. We're not
not a good ref game.
Nope. No, it wasn't. All right. Any other takeaways before we get into player of the game?
Well, I just real quick we'll touch on the it's time for Nick Nurse to rip off the Band-Aid and start playing with these two big man lineups, especially if Bo Bamba's going to be shooting it like that. Like, there's no reason why we can't see this. Let Paul Reed be the dirty work guy that is scrapping for loose balls, getting rebounds, doing all those things. He would love that. He would be awesome at it. You just let him rev him up, let him go and go to work, allow Joel Embiid to be the scorer, all these things. So I know he talked about it in the offseason. I know we've talked about our excitement for it. It's time to see it. Like, even if it was a Bamba and Paul Reed tonight, I would have loved to have seen it. And with Embiid back, let's start mixing these guys in. Let's just try it. Let's see what it looks like.
That's a great comment. Like of all the games to do that, like this was the game.
Yes.
Like, why not?
Yes.
The game to experiment with that. That's a great one.
That might have been the quote of the game. Yeah, because seriously, like that's great, Sean. Because like you think about it, like you thought the Sixers would have learned their lesson going against that Minnesota team. Like if you would have tried it tonight, would have been it. Instead of bringing Markieff Morris coming back into the game, I would have tried the two big man set right there and see what happens. You know what I mean? I would let it rip.
All right. That being said, let's get into our Sixers player of the game. All right, Sixers player of the game. I have been keeping count here since day one. Pat, I'm going to let you have a stab at it. Who is your Sixers player of the game?
Pat Beverly would be too much of a layup, but I am going to go Paul Reed. I think Paul Reed was sensational tonight. I think layups, his mid shots, everything he does in the paint means something. Him being in the right position when guys are contributing, he's just all over the place. And that hook shot he had tonight was just just unreal. And he could pretty much whatever you want to do, he can do. And he's going to emulate his game, after Embiid and those guys working out together. Yeah, it's a good thing, happening. So for him to fill the void a little bit, I'm excited to Bull Paul be my guy.
B-Ball Paul finished with 14 points, 5 boards, and a block. Really good game. Had some really nice flashes offensively. Sean, who's your player of the game?
Yeah, I know it's the layup, but I'm taking it. It's Pat Bev for me. This is the story of the game. 26 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, shot 10 of 15 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Also got in there for 2 steals. He controlled this game pretty much from start to finish. Ran the offense. I really didn't think he still had this in the tank. Tying a career high in points. I didn't like that might seriously be the best game I've ever seen Patrick Beverley play. And to see that at that stage of his career is incredible. So shout out to Pat Bev, best player on the floor tonight, including the Celtics players. So I was blown away by what he did. And yeah, for me, this wouldn't even be a game without Pat Bev tonight.
A lot of Mamba love on this channel. I'm shocked by the Mamba. Listen, I'm going to go Rocco. Rocco is my player of the game. Just the nuances of his game from when I remember watching him. What was it, the D League back then? To now, he's come so far to being such a more complete basketball player. The 3-point shooting, the defense, the deflections, the length, just everything, man. I thought Robert Covington had a phenomenal game and is truly pushing Tobias Harris, I think, for minutes. So give me Robert Covington as my player of the game. Anybody else to give a shout out to?
Yeah, next time. Yeah, Sean, I'll let you go.
I was just going to say, yeah, those were my top 3 for sure. I was going to give DeAnthony Melton a little love as well, that I think he deserves to be in the conversation. Played very well as well.
Barry says a lot of exciting. Oh, go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
No. My message to Nick Nurse, even with a MB with 110-degree fever, please, I'd rather have him coming in off a hospital bed other than Tobias in the second half. That's just my take, I try to fight for the guy, but nothing. It's a shame because like I said, I'm like, okay, again, it's going back to Tobias having a horrible game and everyone just pointing it out. I'm thinking, okay, he's going to have a decent first half and then just nothing. I mean, it's nothing. It's just, it's pitiful at this point. And there's no direction of what we're going to do with him, trying to get him off the team.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of trade rumors out there for sure. We'll see. Barry says a lot of expiring contracts in 2024, 2025. Commitments to Embiid, B-Ball, Paul, and Springer. Maxey will get a new contract. Morey will have the ability to reface the team this offseason. Absolutely, man. That is Morey's plan, to get everybody off the books, essentially, and retool with a new team centered around Maxey and Embiid. Mamba was balling. So I can't pick B-Ball Paul. So the way we do this is if someone picks Paul Reed, we all have to pick someone different. But I pretty much always pick B-Ball Paul if given the opportunity. Mitch says, what happened to Jaden Springer? He's hurt, right?
He was a healthy scratch tonight.
Was he a healthy scratch?
Yeah. From everything I've read, there could be Nick Nurse wanting him to get him up to speed or not rush him into things, but he was not listed as out anywhere. And I'm even I even did another quick Google, and from CBS Sports, he was good to go. From Number Fire, that he's available for play. Wow. So he was dressed and on the bench. But yeah, little strange there. I guess I'll give Nurse the benefit of the doubt that he kind of had the mindset of wanted to not force him back in, or maybe he still wasn't feeling 100%. But yeah, technically he was available.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, with Pat Bev playing so well and Melton playing a little better, doesn't look good right now. Doesn't look good for Jaden Springer. Let's get into our grades for today's game. Won't you give me sweetness and light for my restless mind? All right, grades for tonight, Sean. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know we got sidetracked on a little Tobias Harris rant, but I am going to look past that for the team as a whole tonight. It was an A performance overall that I had very little expectation for this game starting out. The effort, the energy they play with, the way this team scrapped, the way they played together. I know it is frustrating. It's definitely like I still feel the Tobias stuff, but as a whole, the team, I'm giving it an A. There were too many moments tonight where it was like the fact that that shot went in or the fact that that play happened. They absolutely have to win this game. And it's frustrating they didn't get the victory, but I'm pretty proud of how they competed and played and had a lot of fun watching that one.
Just ready to flip this freaking table, man. I'm just
Do it.
Such a frustrating loss, man. Just Tobias freaking Harris, man. Just get off my basketball team. Pat, how do you grade it?
With Sean, I'm gonna have to give this an A. A game, you don't have your reigning MVP, you don't have Maxey, you don't have Nick Batum, and what did you walk in this dog? You walked in the knife and you walked out giving it all. This was a game I wasn't expecting. You kind of put this Boston Celtics team on their heels with the with Tatum, with what's called out there? What can I think of his name? The
Drew
former
Holiday.
Sixer out there. Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday out there. You had, Horford. Yeah, they had everything going for him, and you Jaylen Brown and this team, the bench came alive and gave that team. They took them to the distance, and I was stunned for what this team gave you. Again, they grinded out. They were hitting their shots, picking their shots. The Miltons, they all grinded and fought from a lot of energy, a lot of good things out of it. I know, Tobias Harris kind of was the poop on the toilet, but other than that, this team was really solid. I'll give it an A.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. We have JB announcing, "Let's go Celtics."
Come on.
Next says, "I hear M&M crumble cookies are not bad."
I own some crumble cookies.
This is a straight A. How do you not give this effort an A overall? Like, given no Maxey, no Embiid, no Batum, and you just put up 119 points on a team that does not have shot creators, a team that has historically struggled without Embiid, let alone Tyrese Maxey, 119 points against a team with the third best defensive efficiency in the NBA. That's pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm just like shaking my head, because there were so many times in this game, momentum swings, where Tobias Harris just killed it, man. Just killed it. And I really wanted this. Again, it is a meaningless December 1st basketball game in the big picture. But they had it, and they kind of just let it slip through their fingers. So let's roll on to final thoughts and plugs. Pat, you're up, man.
Guys, you can catch me, Pat from Mandler, on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Of course, I'm here with Edge Affiliate Sports, pretty much doing everything over here, covering lacrosse, covering Union Soccer, cover all 4-4. And you catch me Sunday mornings, PM and AM, with that goofball Mike Lauro. And I'm telling you, if he brings up Tobias Harris, great defense, I'll step on his foot. I don't care. But yeah, great stuff as always. And guys, come check out the stuff right on EOP.
All right, you're up, Sean.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. Check out Pick Swap Media as well as Sixers Digest, starting to dive into some trade rumors and getting into where the Sixers could be going as the deadline approaches. So if that stuff's for you, make sure to take a peek at that. Also, catch me on the Tough Cover Radio Show, 11 to 1 tomorrow morning. You can catch that on Fox 102.5, The Gambler airwaves on AM, or on the YouTube channel as well. So stay posted for that. And yeah, we'll be along for the ride this Sixers season. We got plenty more to break down.
Absolutely, man. Big picture wise, the Sixers are learning to play without Joel Embiid. They're learning to play without Tyrese Maxey. We'll figure it out. It was a moral loss.
just try to think like this way, Dives. The other night when we played against the Pelicans, we looked completely lost without Embiid. Now you're missing Embiid and Maxey, and yet this team found a way to give you the dogfight that you wanted.
Yeah,
that's the bright side.
Yeah, that's a whole conversation too. I'm not going to get into that.
I'm trying to walk you away from the Buyers angry mode.
Yeah, right. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll be back. I'm not sure who they play next, honestly. I'm going to have to sleep on this one.
Down the Wizards.
Wizards? All right, cool. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Plugs, I'll be doing a top 10 breakdown of the offensive tackles in the 2024 NFL Draft tomorrow. That'll be at 3 o'clock. Some really good prospects if you're looking for a Lane Johnson replacement. Really deep class. And then, of course, Sunday Eagles. Tons of content there. And again, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe wherever you're watching. He is Sean at Sean_Bernard1. He is Pat at Pat from Ambler. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Stay awesome, everyone.